Here's a good one, Tammy. Sarah, I know this one. Let's see what your response to this is. Sarah Pencher. Do you remember your first litter of Frenchies? What feelings come up when you think of it? The reason I ask is I'm having a really hard time thinking about separating them, and I also want to keep them all. Do you ever feel like that?
Separating the babies?
Well, giving the babies away, the babies leave.
Oh, well, yeah, of course it's hard. It's
Yeah.
still hard when you have that special one. You know?
Exactly.
But and there's times where you go, okay, you're ready to go to your new home. You know, it's...
Yes. Yes.
Because when you have 5 or 6 of them running around, you're ready for some of those babies.
Well, I'm going to go back to when we had labs, so we'd have 13 in the litter.
Ooh,
And I remember
yeah.
Chanel, at the time, Chanel, our daughter, was about 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And she gets so attached to these puppies, and she'd always get attached to one. I remember one in particular.
Yeah,
It was
Star
a
was her
Star,
name.
right? She was a white puppy. She's the prettiest thing out there.
Little lab.
And the people came to pick her up, and Chanel is bawling and crying, and they
Runs upstairs to her bedroom, and then when she hears the people leave, she's running down the stairs.
She's running down the, runs down the road,
stairs on
running down the
porch.
road after the people.
Yeah.
And they stopped.
And they go, "What do we
What do we
do?"
do? And we said,
Go!
drive!
Just
Get
keep
the
on
hell out of
going.
here! Drive! We'll take care of Chanel. But I mean, and so I think about our first litter of Frenchies. That litter was a combination of being scared to death and being excited like it was, you were 5 years old, it was Christmas morning,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
And every time that we go have a C-section, I'm still like that little boy at Christmas time. I'm so excited. I'm still nervous. You know, there's an art to all of this. I still get worried that, you know, we're taking puppies early. We just don't have those problems these days, but touch wood, we won't. But it's still like Christmas Day. It's an exciting time because you really just don't know, you know, what's going to pop out. So
Yeah.
absolutely. And
I remember our first Frenchies. Holy cow, they were gorgeous.
That's
They
a
were
litter
little
of-
white. That was out of Trixie.
That was
They
5,
were
wasn't it?
beautiful.
that was right before
Beautiful.
Christmas too, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that if you get to the point where you're blasé about it and you don't give a damn, you probably shouldn't be doing it, actually. I mean, you know, I don't want to bash people who, you know, I'm not going to say too much about it.
Oh, am I not going to get to make my turn to Edmund?
No. Hopefully you will. I think you will. Got construction going on, don't they?
Yeah. Okay.
We're traveling here, so we're trying to figure out where we're going.
They're doing construction.
But I mean, you know, if you start being passionate, you probably need to be looking to do something different.
Yeah.
My thoughts on it. What do you think,
Yeah.
Tammy?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean-
if you don't love it, don't hang with it because
And I mean,
there's a lot of times, you know, that there is some frustration, but I
Sure.
mean, they're babies.
yeah.
You know, if you don't have the time and patience for this, don't get in it.
I mean, it's like having kids, isn't it? You know, your first child, you know, you're really worried that you're going to ruin the child on day one. And so you're overly cautious about everything. By the time you've got your 4th child, it's like, oh, that fell on the floor. Well, that's fine. We'll put that pacifier back in their mouth, you know. But it doesn't mean you don't love your 4th child like you love your first child, right? Hopefully. Otherwise, you shouldn't be having children either. So, you know, to remember that, you know, these little creatures, you know, dogs are I mean, they've evolved over 100,000, 50,000 years to be our loyal companions, and that's exactly what they are. And, you know, I say this, you know, if Tammy put me in the trunk of the car along with Kit, our Frenchie, and drove around the block and opened the trunk up, I'd be pissed, and the Frenchie would be happy to see Tammy. That's a dog for you.
Not if it was Kit. She wouldn't care. She just loves James.
She'd be happy to be in there with me in the trunk. She really would be. She really would be. Love that dog. Love that dog.
She'd only come out if James came out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that doesn't mean you don't have special dogs too, right? You know, you've
Yeah.
got dogs that you've got in I mean, I have a special attachment to Kit, but I mean, I like all of our Frenchies, but, you know, I do have a slightly closer relationship with Kit than the others. Okay. Let's see here. Leslie Arlino. She's talking about the target test from targetvet.com. And on a target test, you have a white cylinder, and you mix some chemicals up, then you drop these chemicals into the center of the cylinder, and then at 9 minutes you look at the cylinder to tell what color it is, and based on the color of the cylinder you can tell how far along your dog is. If it's dark blue, the dog is just starting up. If it's gone white, then you're at a progesterone level of 8 or higher and it's time to breed the dog. So my results, she says, Leslie Arlino says, my results between C1 and C2. Monday and Wednesday. So it's C1 on Monday, that's C2. What is the latest that I can AI? Well, what you've got to do, Leslie, is you've got to continue doing tests, and we've got to wait till that thing is the very faintest of blue and get ready to ship, or the day after it's the very faintest of blue, it's white, you breed. And that's C4 on that test. So a C1, C2 transition, if I remember rightly, is a progesterone level of around 2. Maybe wrong on that, but I think it's a progesterone around 2. If that's the case, then you would think that you are about 5 days away from breeding. But don't let this get away from you. You know, when she's at a C2, I would test again in a couple of days, maybe 3 days. And then after that, if you're getting very close to being very light, I'd test every day. There's a long-winded answer to that one. Josie, this is one for Tammy's. Josie Zaragoza, how do you know if a mum has milk? Puppies are like 3 days old and like it hasn't dropped, lost 2 ounces of weight each. So I started giving the formula. Not sure if the following info is any help. And then she gives us some information about C-sections and everything else. Okay, so let's just talk about this one.
Had a real wreck.
They did, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, well, how do you find if a dog's got milk?
Well, it's always nice to see milk
Express
before
it.
they have.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, take the
When
nipple, pull your finger down, right?
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
cow.
Yeah, there's going to be when your dog is before she has a C-section, it's very common that you'll see a milk line developing, not always, and that you
get a progesterone shot when you're at the vet's office when you're doing the C-section. Maybe this woman had
not progesterone,
I'm sorry,
oxytocin shot.
Oxytocin.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a
Anyway,
second.
Yeah. So if you didn't have a C-section done, and you had it naturally,
I'd still give oxytocin. We used to.
I know
labs.
it, but these people may not
Oh,
know.
well, that's
James.
true. Well, that's a Frenchie, but fair enough.
No,
fair
I know, but that doesn't mean that they're going to go have a C-section like they should.
No. Well, that's right. Exactly.
So they
That's
didn't
the way.
give an oxytocin.
By the way,
shot.
that's why you get us two talking about this,
Right.
because I'll say something and Tabby will say, well, you're not thinking about this, and vice versa. So when we don't immediately say the same thing, it's not because one of us is right or wrong. It's because it's a complicated thing. So when do you expect to see milk on a new mama? Never had puppies before.
Sometimes a week before, sometimes, the day of, sometimes 3 days afterwards.
Yes, and that can get you in trouble.
Right. So there's colostrum that comes out, but
Sometimes.
yeah.
Sometimes. That's a little...
Yeah.
That's when you pull
But
a
I'm
teat and you see
telling you,
them.
if you did not have a C-section on your Frenchie, had it naturally, you didn't give an oxytocin shot.
Well, they may have done if they know they should.
Well, they should.
Well-
but James, there's people that call and ask you questions that you just kind of go,
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's keep on going with this. We'll talk about the oxytocin in a
Sometimes they don't
moment.
need to
We'll
be
talk about
raised
oxytocin in a moment.
Frenchies, dogs,
So,
period.
if you did the right thing here because you're weighing your puppies and they're losing weight, that is a serious situation. And by the way, a puppy that's losing, or puppies that are all losing weight, almost certainly is a milk issue. If you had a single puppy that's losing weight and the rest are gaining, it's
And
not
if
probably,
they're crying and hollering, it's because they're either cold or they're hungry. So
or they could be constipated. But yes, exactly.
hopefully you got a female that will help you out.
Well, anyway, back to this. You're right. What do you do? Well, there are some things that people say will help milk production. Fernigan seed is one thing. I don't know if it works. Products like Oxy Mama have that product in it. You can actually probably go buy that separately, and I don't even know how much you'd give. You would not be harmful to do that. But look, if your dog doesn't have milk, you've got to supplement with goat's milk or Espalac or a puppy milk replacer. They're all the same thing. And if they get to the point where they're not drinking milk, not nursing off mum, then bottle feed. Well, sorry, let me back this up. Sorry, I'm kind of watching the road at the same time as we're driving here. A dog that doesn't have milk, you're going to have to bottle feed. And you would bottle feed their weight in ounces, that amount in milliliters every 3 hours. 10 ounce puppy, 10 mils every 3 hours. Make sure their puppy bellies look bloated. If they're on mum, be a little careful because you can overfeed puppies. But they can take quite a bit more than that. But if they've got fat, bloated bellies, they probably have got milk
Yeah,
in.
but Google before you do tube feeding. Remember that?
I've got videos
Like
on tube feeding.
ounces on how many
It's
cc's you give a puppy per
10 ounce
their
puppy, 10
pound.
mils
Yeah.
every 3 hours. We've got videos that show you how to tube feed. You can absolutely do that too. But you've got to get on top of this. You cannot get in a situation where if a puppy keeps losing weight, it'll die. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It just absolutely simple as that. It doesn't matter what you do. If you don't get a puppy gaining weight and it keeps losing weight, that puppy will die.
Yeah.
It will die.
They'll get cold and then they'll just die.
So what are the things that you should have in the event that you run into this situation? Well, before you ever start whelping a litter, you should have a bottle with a 0 to 3 month old silicone nipple on it. You should have goat's milk on hand. You should have a feeding tube, and you should have scales so that you can weigh puppies. And these are all things that are, you know, an important part of being ready for a litter. And by the way, our puppy care kit includes all that stuff. Our $99 puppy care kit's got a lot more than that in it, but it's got everything that you should have on hand in preparation for having a litter. Well, we're 11 minutes into this. I think that's enough. Oh, the oxytocin thing Tammy was talking about. When you go to your vet and you have a C-section done, when they finish the C-section, they're going to give a shot of oxytocin. It's milk letdown is what we call it. And what it does is it does contractions of smooth muscle. So it does contractions, you're not going to go there? It does contractions of the uterus that helps express out any muck and debris that's in a uterus, and also helps with the milk letdown. And the other thing that helps with the milk letdown is puppies nursing. Here we go. See you. Bye. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate people who subscribe to me. It helps me, encourage me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Bye.